Why, hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello there.
After, hey, I was about to say, oh my God, it's a Holocaust cloak.
It's whoa,
Jedi robe.
nice,
I was gonna say,
nice,
are you on the Brute Squad?
nice. I was just
Very
letting
good.
everybody know if Ewan McGregor dies in a horrible train accident or something in the near future, and they want to do a sequel.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. I'm right here.
Already got the saber.
Oh, welcome back to the show, Hank. We've missed you.
How's it going, fellas?
We are doing very well. We've kept the fires burning bright in your absence.
Excellent. Yes, sir. Life gets in the way all the
Of course
time.
it does. Of course it does.
It finds a way.
Oh, but here we are. We had after last week with some technical difficulties that really kind of threw us for a loop. I think we've got everything ironed out this week. Word of warning: I am running a new camera this week, so if things look a little odd, that's because I haven't quite figured out how to use it yet. But we're getting there.
Awesome.
Oh my God! There's a little thing coming up here. You may or may not have heard of it. It's called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But we swear we're not a Star Wars show.
And while we're on that subject, have I told you that Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character ever?
I've heard that. We share that sentiment, actually.
This, without a doubt, this is the most excited I've been for a Star Wars project. The most excitement I've had over a Star Wars television project. I've not had this amount of excitement for. And I love The Mandalorian, and I really love Boba Fett, but nothing has had me like this, must have it now, kind of.
Yeah, I've been really, really good at this one, just keeping my nose out of the rumors and the vitriol. Like I see the headlines, but I haven't been clicking on them all.
I've done my best to stay away from
weird rabbit hole that people are going down in terms of negativity already. And
I know.
I'm trying to stay far away from that. And I'm actually trying to stay as spoiler free as I can. I've watched the trailer extensively, and I have a few ideas and speculations.
Sure,
so we'll definitely get into that. But I haven't been reading all the crazy rumors or the.
No,
I read an article how they wanted to, a few of the background stuff. I've got caught up on, but I've been sort of steering. I've been honing in on my own speculations rather than paying attention to what other folks have been saying.
Yeah, as hard as I have tried to stay away from it, part of the pitfall of the style of show that we do is that we will never be first. Just to put that out there right now, we will never be first. Yeah. But at the same time, there are very few, if any, shows that do it the way that we do, that touch on all the lore connections sort of in the moment. You get these
it's true
10-15 minute videos that kind of summarize things, but
leave it to you to go find the rest.
Well, exactly. Whereas we like to sort of talk about it, because we just presume that, the audience that's watching with us, yes, we assume you're a Star Wars fan, but at the same time, we don't presume that you have the depth of knowledge that maybe some of us do. And so we just love to share that.
Read a novel this week.
A whole one.
Yeah, Master and Apprentice, actually.
Oh, excellent. We'll have to talk about that too. But I took the liberty. We're going to do things a little different this week. Part of this whole learn the technology, new camera, and new style of doing the show this week. This week we're importing our slides from Google Slides. So that means we will be on camera the whole time. There'll be no hiding behind overlays this week.
No.
Nice.
But I thought, this has been a really interesting. It's been an interesting roadmap to get to the point where the show is coming. It's coming May 25th. But there was a period of time where Obi-Wan was in limbo and we didn't think we were going to get anything at all. And I wanted to start with sort of the beginning of the roadmap to how we got to where we are now. And I'm going to do that right now.
3 years of Ewan McGregor doing Andrew Garfield impressions.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure. I mean, if they wanted me to come and play Obi-Wan, I might be interested in doing that, but no one's talked to me.
No one's knocked on my door yet.
All right. Well, listen, everybody. Welcome to our inaugural episode of our next deep dive review series. This one's called The High Ground. Obviously, it is our look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, and
The name was chosen by you.
it was, yeah, good
Fan
point.
vote.
That's a good point to put out there. We put out a poll on our social media. I also shopped it around some other nerd groups, and this was by a landslide, this was the title that got the most votes.
Awesome.
I personally wanted to use From a Certain Point of View, but my vote did not count.
It counted.
We'll see how pretentious we get now.
Oh, I know. The High Ground. That was my fear, right? Is like, we call the show The High Ground. Does that sound like we're like morally superior or something?
No, it's just a tactic that has served Obi-Wan well.
That's
Right.
true. That is true. Yes.
He learned it the hard way and continued to utilize it.
That's true. So believe it or not, the Obi-Wan series started all the way back in 2013. Everybody remember when Walt Disney bought Lucasfilm?
Do I?
Sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Well, part of the
I was on a gallows for a minute.
Disney buys the company, and then immediately Bob Iger decides that they like almost immediately announce a ton of Star Wars spin-offs, including an Obi-Wan Kenobi film. And at that time, the film was to be written by Hossein Amini, who, if you're not familiar with, wrote the screenplay for Snow White and the Huntsman, as well as 47 Ronin, and was supposed to be directed by Stephen Daldry, who has directed 4 episodes of The Crown and is also known for doing several Broadway productions.
Yeah, Obi-Wan could use a musical number.
Obi-Wan's done some musical numbers. You not seen the Moulin Rouge?
Actually, I have not seen that yet.
So here's your Moulin Rouge connection. In that film, Ewan McGregor's character, his love interest, her name is Satine.
Oh, there you go.
So now you know the Duchess Satine, where that comes from. It's an homage to the Moulin Rouge.
Oh,
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
So do we think that the connection in Beauty and the Beast is that he got to play the role of Anakin on fire?
I don't know.
Because he played Lumiere.
I don't. Oh my Lord, Anakin on fire. Well, that was that's 2013. So then we get this 3-year gap where there's nothing. There's just nothing. And of course, Ewan McGregor goes on to live his life and does some other work. And of course, people ask him, right? It's like, hey, if you were ever willing to, if somebody were to ask you, do you think you'd be willing to come back to the role? So I think somewhere around 2016, he's like, yeah, if that were to happen, I would be okay with it. But there was no formal plan for this to happen,
Right.
that we know of.
If Disney shows up with money, take it.
Right. So then we're gonna fast forward. We're gonna hop in the time machine. We're gonna jump ahead another couple of years. We jump into 2018, where at that time the film was rumored to be called Obi-Wan: A Star Wars Story, and the plot was said to be centered around protecting a young Luke Skywalker while dealing with tensions between the Tusken Raiders and the Moisture Farmers, which, by the way, if you have not read, sounds an awful lot like the 2013 Kenobi novel written by John Jackson Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a 9 out of 10 novel.
Oh, it is. It's
it
fantastic.
Really is good. It's
in fact, I think that's the last Legends novel I read before they sold the farm.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's good. I like it.
It's real good, actually. Yeah, I agree.
But we know what happened. Those Star Wars stories. I mean, we had Rogue One come out, and it was just like this hit that almost everybody, kind of loved. And then the follow up in 2018, we've got Solo. Solo comes out, and unfortunately, it's considered a box office failure, having earned just $393.2 million against its $275 million budget.
So apparently 120 million is crap.
Well, that's the thing with Hollywood, right? Like this whole, because your marketing costs are factored into your production budget.
$1 billion is the new million.
Yeah. You've got to double your production budget to be considered successful. Double. Ugh. So, I mean, and Solo right now is enjoying kind of a bit of a, I don't want to say if it's a renaissance, but I mean, it is definitely, I think the fans have softened over this one, that, you know, people going back to watch it now, subsequently through streaming, people who are discovering it now, I think are way more forgiving of it than maybe they were at the box office.
It's a solid movie. I loved it at the box
I
office.
very much enjoyed it as
Yeah.
well. It didn't take me I think by 45 minutes in, I wasn't seeing Alden Ehrenreich anymore. I was seeing Han Solo.
The character, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the thing that struck me, actually.
Well, considering that it was a box office failure, that kind of put, you know, every Star Wars story film that was in the works were all canceled. Everything gets canceled. But behind the scenes, and we don't know it at that time, is that the Obi-Wan movie gets reworked into a limited series. All right. So then we jump ahead a couple more years, and this was the big one. And I can remember, I remember watching this. I didn't watch it live, but I watched it the same day. The D23 Expo from 2019, where at the end of the presentation, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy announces Ewan McGregor. She brings them out on stage, and they have a little interaction with each other, and it kind of sounded like this.
Ewan,
Yes?
are you going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi again?
Yes.
I think I was just as excited as everybody in that room.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And then that kind of brought us to this whole, I mean, and I mean, I'm not the only one. I'm sure everybody around the world was like, "Oh my god!" But then you get that whole, as you said before, Hank, the Andrew Garfield thing. We find out later on, like, the relief that the man felt that he could finally talk about it.
Right.
Apparently he had accepted the role 4 years earlier, so back in 2015.
Right. Couldn't even tell his wife.
Yeah. Do you think he did, though? I bet he did.
I mean, Pillow Talk is exceptionally open.
Do you have Star Wars Pillow Talk?
Sometimes. My pillow and I get along extraordinarily well.
Right. Well, that series, it's changed into a series. He's accepted the role. The series is confirmed to be a six episode limited series based on scripts that are turned in by the aforementioned Hossein Amini.
Right.
Just got to find out where I'm here. Here we go. Right. So September 2019, we get Deborah Chow announced as confirmed to direct the series because her episodes of The Mandalorian apparently impressed Kathleen Kennedy.
Right.
So if you don't remember her episodes, those were Mandalorian Chapter 3. That's the episode where Mando delivers the asset to the client and then has a change of heart and then rescues him instead. And then she directed Chapter 7, The Reckoning, where Mando returns to Navarro, cutting a deal with Greef Karga to rid the town of Imperials. And Moff Gideon is introduced in that. So 2 super, super strong episodes that got her this new job.
Mm-hmm.
And she's scheduled to direct the whole thing. January 2020, pre-production begins at Pinewood Studios in London. By the end of the month, rumors are swirling that the series is canceled due to production issues. In truth, the series has been placed on indefinite hold because the overarching plot is said to be too similar to The Mandalorian's Lone Wolf and Cub theme.
Yes.
The idea of the wise mentor, looking after or protecting the child.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's come out recently that that Dave Filoni had a lot to do with sort of like pushing them. I think the words were "do more."
Yeah.
Do more.
Go bigger. And also the rumors were that it was strongly an Obi-Wan wandering the desert for a brief period with a young Luke.
Really?
And heavily involving Tusken Raiders. Very similar to the Kenobi novel. So I think Filoni was like doing it already and perhaps go a different direction. I also think that the rumors around that we'll probably get to that deeper in a sec, but the rumors swirling around them having written Maul out as the original antagonist probably have a lot to do with Filoni's plans for Maul coming up.
That could very well be.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Well, and we are going to touch on that here coming up here shortly. Okay, so April, where are we now? We're oh my lord, we're in January 2020 right now. We jump ahead a few months to April, and Joby Harold is suddenly hired to write new scripts because they're not really thrilled with Amini's scripts. And Joby Harold is actually the writer on the upcoming Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. He's also the co-writer of Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. That came out on Netflix, I think, late last year?
Mm-hmm.
Late last year. It's not too bad, actually. So, yeah. He's also the executive producer on John Wick 3, Parabellum. And, of course, Deborah Chow is still on board. Nothing's happened to her, so... Then by October that year, the COVID pandemic is at full swing, and so then everything is basically delayed. And we don't get anything until several months later when we get into May 2021. They ramp the production back up, only now we're filming in Los Angeles. We're no longer at Pinewood in London. And then, actually, it's not that long. Start filming in May. The whole production wrapped in September.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get another big gap here because we don't hear much about the production until this year. So like this 2-year gap, which of course a lot of post-production work, including February of this year, John Williams records the main title theme for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, super excited. Comes out of retirement.
It's his first television theme since Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories back in 1985.
Wicked.
So that's a huge deal. Yeah. He started doing TV too.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that on our TV episode.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, if you're a fan of Star Wars music, as we are, go back to the original soundtrack, and the track Binary Sunset, which is the theme that is basically associated with the Force, was actually written as a theme for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this is actually the second time that he's written a theme for Obi-Wan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Binary Sunrise now.
Yeah, I guess so, eh? And then we jump ahead to March 9th of this year. We get the first teaser trailer. And then a couple days later, on the 14th, the Hollywood Reporter runs an article that said during script overhauls, Darth Maul, who was originally set to be one of the series' antagonists, was written out. Additionally, the article also mentions an unnamed child actor previously cast to play Luke Skywalker has been replaced by young Grant Feely, whose only acting credit is a single episode of Creepshow.
Yeah. If anybody says anything about Grant Feely, I'm coming for you.
I don't know anything about this young fellow,
No,
so
but let's
don't
enjoy
need
him
Vader.
and leave him alone, unlike what we did with Jake Lloyd.
this kid. So yeah, exactly. This kid is about to be the hero you wanted to be when you were his age.
Right.
He's getting his shot.
That's right.
Yes. And sandstorms are very, very dangerous.
They sure can be. Yeah.
Just everybody be real nice to that kid.
Well, once again, we got to touch in with our dear friend Pablo Hidalgo because the very next day, Pablo Hidalgo tweets from his private account, by the way, which, if you recall, his public account, his Lucasfilm account, is the only one that he communicates officially through. He had that interaction with YouTuber Star Wars Theory, which resulted in him basically making his Twitter account private. But a bunch of people were discussing the Darth Maul rumor, and he piped up on his personal account to say a brown sun rises, bullshit has been spilled, refuting that claim. Doesn't Pablo Hidalgo have an interesting relationship with the fan base?
Yeah. The thing is that there's no real reason to call it bullshit unless it was. Like, there's nothing in it for him to...
No.
You know what I mean? So
Nothing gained from this.
Yeah.
No. Well, and
he could be feuding with Filoni because Filoni's got, I don't know what level of control you have as story group ruler. What is he? What's
head
his-
of the head of the story group? Is that what we
Like,
call him?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, is he the face? Is he just the voice of them? Is he like, how much power does this cat actually have? I tweeted him a question one time and he never got back to me.
We've all tweeted them. Well, let's put it into perspective here, because for people who don't understand exactly what the story group is, now the story group is a think tank of Lucasfilm employees who are supposed to be extremely well versed in the lore, like make us look like newbies,
Right.
who are to ensure consistency across all Star Wars media. So the video games, film, TV, comic books, novels, all of those things under the new canon are supposed to be intertwined and interconnected, and they are not supposed to conflict with each other. So are we saying he's essentially like a librarian?
The keeper of the ancient texts.
Keeper of the lore.
The lore keeper?
Yeah. I mean, so I guess maybe not power, but if you have to run everything through that guy's group before you can tell a story,
yeah.
right? I guess
That's true.
Have a bit of power. They probably have a veto, I guess,
Maybe
on whatever you might want to do. So in terms of
yeah.
that, I don't know. He does have a way of not being like a PR guy in terms of interacting with fans. He's rubbed. Like I used to be a big sort of fan of his because
myself as well.
And then he started with a few fans, and I was like, that's just some lowbrow stuff. Like,
yeah.
You know what does it cost you to be nice? Where'd you go?
Oh, what do you know? My camera just went. Hang on a second. We are having a major malfunction.
The dog.
Having a major malfunction. This should not happen.
I don't know.
That's okay. I'm going to fix this. It may take a minute. Or you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn it off.
To run out of gas?
No, it's okay. What I'll do is I'll just change it up.
We have the technology.
Andy's
twice. I like Andy twice.
So nice.
All right, now we're back in. Okay, so
Perfect.
Who knows though? Like he could be on a leash too, right? Like Filoni could come with him or come to him and say, "Okay, here's what I'm doing. Make it work."
Well, see, now that's what I was thinking. I was getting at because Filoni, you can't really call him an upstart. He's been in the game.
Not anymore.
No, but he's been in the game for a long time. You got to feel like he's the guy making the money now, right? Like him and Favreau are the new
captains owe the ship.
Right.
Yeah,
And so maybe there is a little drama because human beings are, us. So there can be drama, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at what he said after Theory had his emotional, and we all had those emotions when Luke Skywalker came back at the end of Mandalorian, and we were very emotional over that. And his response on his corporate account was to say that emotions aren't for sharing, which he tried to walk back, and I don't think anybody bought it.
Oh, it's supposed to be a joke or whatever he said. Like, yeah. And I don't watch Theory as much as I used to.
Neither.
Is that a very PR way to say it?
He's just not talking about stuff I'm interested in right now.
No, and yeah, it's very negative. But I stand with him behind that. Like,
absolutely,
sure.
I do. I do. Yeah,
because I wept like a child.
Me too. Me 2 million. I'm sure there was a bunch of other people out there.
And as far as keeping it all straight, what about the nubs?
The nubs. That's a whole other story.
It is a whole other.
Well, that's all blown out now.
Now it's a screw up.
Yeah,
but
now it's an inconsistency.
It is.
There's also a culture of lying on purpose to protect the property.
Yeah.
We've been doing it since Blue Harvest,
oh my gosh.
right?
Yeah.
Right? There's a whole culture of trying to save something for the fans.
Yeah.
But the truth has got to be manipulated or held back, Like even the action figures when they're launched, they're like Bravo Reno 1 and you're like, which character is that? I have no idea what it's going to be.
We all collect action figures. What was the line? There was a bunch of action figures that just got released. They all had, it was the first wave of G.I. Joe Classified. They were all named after like insects.
Yeah.
Like Rhino
Crazy.
Beetle. Yeah, Rhino Beetle. And it was just all crazy stuff. But yeah. save it and protect it for the fans.
Yeah, and they did
Right.
the same thing with
But,
the Spidey retro line, with everything being like pepperoni and anchovies.
Right.
Everybody
right,
wants like, you know, full disclosure and to be honest, but if they did that, then nobody would enjoy anything because you'd have the whole movie 5
Spilled out
minutes
for
after,
you.
you know, somebody would just hand you the script and you could read it yourself. So
That's right.
as I get older, I try harder to be, you know, start to stay center in terms of that. Like, I don't want to delve in. I don't want to know if there's a crazy surprise coming that's going to blow my mind. But at the same time, I like to know, you know, what the actors are doing and who they're going to be playing, kind of thing. So it's a fine line that I walk, right?
Yeah. Do I want to know what I'm getting? Sure. You know, I mean, that's why, you know, every fast food restaurant in the world's got a big colorful menu to kind of entice you.
Yeah.
But do I really want to know what's in my Big Mac? Not really.
No.
Well, you got to give it to Disney though for their trailers, like with say Avengers Infinity War.
Oh,
where,
the misdirect.
Yeah, there's characters in that trailer that never appear in the movie. So,
and then again, you get a lot of that comes from the, you know, in the film industry, they talk about the dailies, right? So the stuff that you're sending back every day that you're reviewing that may not make the final edit, and like that whole, like you say, the Hulk and the Hulkbuster, or Bruce Banner and the Hulkbuster suit that just never,
the Hulk,
that never made it, right? So you got to think, was it in there at some point? Maybe.
Could be, yeah. Well, there was an entire toy based on that.
I think the biggest intentional misdirect goes back to the Spider-Man film with the Brazilian trailer, where suddenly it's like people could see the invisible impact hitting the lizard, and then everybody was all over it, and then suddenly that trailer was gone.
Yeah, fans are so much more astute now.
Well,
it's
the
got to be
internet
just it's gonna be so hard to put out a product now.
Absolutely,
with that level of scrutiny and that kind of microscope on it.
And the dark side of that too is you're going to run into more people remembering things that, you know, Mandela effect ish.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I remember seeing that in the trailer, but it wasn't there.
What do you mean C-3PO had a silver leg?
That's right.
A really good example of that's my favorite line from the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull trailer is the "You're a teacher, part-time," and it's the way he delivers the line in the trailer. It's so good.
It's so memorable.
It's indie, and then it's delivered differently in the film.
Right.
It's
so
like
previous cut.
It's a different cut of it, and you're like, wow, that's not good.
Loses some impact.
All right. Well, I got one more detail, one more thing. This is from 2 days ago. So as of this recording, it is Sunday, the 20th of March in 2022. So Friday just passed. Disney Plus updated the landing page for Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they've included a new description for the show that says during the reign of the Galactic Empire, former Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi embarks on a crucial mission. Kenobi must confront allies turned enemies and face the wrath of the Empire. Oh,
nice.
I love it. I cannot wait to see this. Now, I want to sort of just talk about one line in that. It mentions, former allies turned enemies, and it says enemies plural. I mean, the obvious answer is Vader. We know that Vader is confirmed to come back for this, played by Hayden Christensen. And we know that they're going to meet at least twice in the course of the series. But when the description says enemies plural, you guys got any thoughts about what else might show up?
Well, your theory is actually really good that you told me earlier this week.
I've got one.
And that makes sense because at this particular timeline in the galaxy, there is a crap ton of them running around.
Absolutely there is.
And that would be the clones.
Yeah. So
an entire army that just turned from ally to enemy.
Well, the other obvious one is, I mean, the Inquisitors that are going to be introduced in this. If you're not familiar with Inquisitors, we're going to do a little quick primer on those here coming up. But these are dark side Force users who are trained by Vader, who are out to hunt down the surviving Jedi from Order 66.
It's certainly Obi-Wan, being a member of the Council, would know the Grand Inquisitor in his role as the head of the Temple Guard.
The Temple Guard, yeah.
You got to assume that those two knew each other well. I would think.
You would think so.
Yeah.
I would count him on that list.
and
yeah.
maybe even a few of the others being, Padawans that have
That have
returned or
succumbed.
what have you.
Yeah.
And then I have to think that a good number of the 501st went with Vader.
Yeah, I mean, they became his Vader's fist.
Right. So and there's that too. And even contact, like the whole world has changed. So it could be his buddy from the diner in Attack of the Clones. And
Dexter.
he could totally Dexter turn on him.
Sell him out.
Right.
So
These are the things. It's the whole different era of the galaxy. It's the one that the sandbox we all wanted to play in the most, right? What happens after?
Right.
And now we get to chill there for a few episodes. It's very cool.
Well, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about that too, very much in the same vein that we just had the most Boba Fett ever. We are about to get the most Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, that's not necessarily true. The Clone Wars gave us a lot, but I mean, nothing so focused on him. We're getting a six episode limited series where each episode is in that 1 hour bracket. So we're talking like 6 hours of Obi-Wan centric storytelling. That is a lot.
And the best thing is he can go through as much dark stuff as possible.
Yeah.
Because we know he makes it out to episode 4.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So
that's it's a trilogy of movies. 6 hours is a trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. For sure, it is.
And completely focused on him. It's great.
All right, so where are we now? What do we know? We know that the show is coming out here on Wednesday, the 25th of May of this year, and I just put that in there for everybody's benefit. May the 4th be with you. Revenge of the 5th. Hello there, Obi-Wan Kenobi on the 25th, and then we'll be back with our first full episode of the High Ground that Sunday the 29th. But so as it stands right now, if you look up sort of who's got what credit so far that they've actually released, so both Hossein Amini and Joby Harold have writing credits, but also Stuart Beadle, the writer of Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, and Hannah Friedman, who is actually a writer on the upcoming Willow reboot, as well as having written 6 episodes of Trolls The Beat Goes On. Those are your confirmed writers, and of course, Deborah Chow as our director for the whole thing.
So for the most part, we're in good hands.
I believe we are. And that brings us to, I guess, the main course. Are you ready to break this trailer down?
There's a trailer?
How many times have you watched it?
Too many to count.
Yeah. Okay.
Too many to count. Yeah. I would say I'm the Halifax expert on this trailer right now. I don't know. I've been checking the boards, but yeah, I've seen it a numerous amount of times, and paused it and screenshotted it, and
you've scrutinized it the way
drooled over it. Yeah, quite a bit.
Great.
I mean, that's been my part-time job because the rest of my life has been just hectic. So all my pauses have been on that, really. Yeah. Since it dropped, for sure.
Well, it definitely has me energized for what's coming, and so. All right, I know we got 1 minute and 46 seconds of footage to break down here, but there is a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Our trailer opens, and it's Obi-Wan riding across the Tatooine desert. We can see the twin suns off in the distance. He's riding on an Eopie, and if you don't remember Eopies, they were first introduced in The Phantom Menace in a not very flattering scene. Of course, this is the scene where it farts on.
Plop.
Yeah. All right. Then we get a shot. We cut to a settlement of some kind, and it's Obi-Wan leading the Eopie through the streets. Now, there is a rumor about this, that this is not an established, it is an established settlement, but it's not one we've seen before in Star Wars.
So it's not Mos Eisley or Mos Espa.
Neither Mos Eisley or Mos Espa. Not
another.
Yeah, it's definitely
another part of Tashi Station, maybe.
Tashi Station, we've seen, is supposed to be. It's just kind
remote.
Of its own little thing.
Yeah,
and I got to tell you,
maybe Anchorhead.
So this is the thing. They are saying that it's Anchorhead, and I have a slide coming up where I asked that question: is this Anchorhead? And in my own defense, I made the slide before I heard the rumor. So I did not
Perfect.
copy anybody on this.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, this could in fact be Anchorhead. Very much a reuse of the Book of Boba Fett sets,
Hey, you might as well use them.
redressed.
Yeah. Well, and with the volume, they don't even have to be sets anymore.
No, they don't.
It just be the same shots. Like he could be in the same town, you know, or they just redress things.
I've got another one coming up here where I actually have a cutout of the Book of Boba Fett sort of superimposed over Obi-Wan, so you can see how it was reused. But yeah, so this is a reuse of that set. Then we get this interesting shot of Obi-Wan. Looks like he's cutting something, maybe a slab of meat or some other thing. And the thought around this is that Obi-Wan in his exile has had to get a job.
Gotta eat, right?
Gotta
This
eat,
reminds
he's
me
gotta
of
survive.
the scene from The Force Awakens with Rey and while she's, you know, cleaning the rust off of her stuff.
I kid you not, Hank. The next line in my notes reads, "The scene reminds me of Rey at Nima Outpost on Jakku."
Wicked.
Earn those rations.
At this point in the trailer, we hear a very downtrodden Obi-Wan say, "The fight is done. We lost." And that's the only criticism I have about the trailer is that the way that they peppered there's some text that they peppered through, and then the way that the characters who do get a speaking part in the trailer, it's kind of stretched out over the minute and 46, so it's kind of disjointed. But that is the opening line of dialogue from Obi-Wan. "The fight is done. We lost." Then we get a shot of Moore riding across the desert, back on his EOP, and I just want to talk for a second about off in the distance there. Now, this is something we don't see very often. I mean, we saw lots of it around Mos Espa because the city was in a crater, but the rocky, craggy outcroppings in the distance is a little bit different. And I have to wonder if this ties into... Now, I added an extra image here. Before the trailer dropped, did you guys see the Entertainment Weekly images that came out?
Yes.
So one of those images shows Obi-Wan Kenobi living in a cave.
Mm-hmm.
He's living in a cave at the start of the series, so he's not living in old Ben's house out on the edge of the Dune Sea. He's living in this cave, and I have to wonder if the cave is actually in that rocky feature that we're looking at off in the distance.
Living in the former hole of a crate dragon.
I don't know about that. Maybe it is kind of round. Who knows? All right, and then we get to the next scene, and we get this shot of Obi-Wan who's just sitting there. Now, I gotta wonder again: is this the same feature we just looked at, but from another angle?
That's how I kind of felt when I saw this and put two and two together. I thought this might be outside the mouth of the cave. In fact,
right. That's what I thought as well. But off in the distance, if you have a look, he's looking at a very particular structure, and of course that is the Lars farm.
Yeah,
and we can see that.
So this is a location of convenience.
Well, absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, we get a message. Comment coming in from YouTube. It's a friend of mine, Nick. Says, "Hey guys, hey to you too, Nick. Thanks for joining in. I hope you're enjoying the show. Stick with us. We got lots more to talk about."
The range on those things is tremendous. You recall in the cutscene from A New Hope, Luke can see the Star Destroyer attacking the Tantive up in space. So it doesn't necessarily mean those mountains are real close to Luke.
Not
Luke's
necessarily. No. All right. So the shot is of Obi-Wan's macro binoculars as he's staring at the farm. The farm looks just like it did back in A New Hope. And we can see both Owen, played by Joel Edgerton, and Beru, who's played by Bonnie Pless, are outside walking around. So good to see that they've come back. And then the scene does a quick change where he changes focus, and we can see a young boy pretending to fly a starship or maybe like drive a speeder. And this is, of course, Grant Feely's Luke Skywalker. Talk about those cutscenes, though. Wearing those goggles, does that harken back to the cutscenes where Luke's sporting a pair of goggles on his bucket hat?
Yeah, and I kind of got the feeling that maybe because he makes a motion where he shoves both hands forward like he's in a pod racer.
You know what? I kind of thought about that for a second too.
How much does he know about his dad?
His father, really? Is that the
And
Mandalorian's talking?
just that little arm movement threw up
Yep.
so many questions for me. Like, does he know his dad was a famous pod racer when he was a kid? It's easy to know that about Anakin and nothing else, and have his dad twist everything else. But somewhere, maybe even in Anchorhead, where the kid might have gone to shop with his uncle a few times, there might be a plaque, or even the only human to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I kind of got that impression that he was pretending to do a pod racer thing. Yeah.
That's entirely possible.
Never his mind on where he was or what he was doing.
Yeah. All right. This brings me to my first, and this is just me. I'm gonna be stretching at things a little bit here, and you guys can either slap me, for being way off the mark, or you can give me the attaboy that I may or may not deserve. But the next scene we get is the inverse of that, Obi-Wan's macro binoculars. And I know we've seen macro binoculars before, but I mean, are these not like really eerily close to the visor version that the clones wear?
Yeah, and I thought that in the last slide with the shape of it, isn't that the exact same shape when Cody is watching Obi-Wan Revenge of the Sith run off on the creature? I should have looked for that. I think if you screen cap that, you'll find that it's almost identical.
Yeah,
that is a clone's visor.
So and I just wonder if that's like a holdover, like maybe that was gear that he had when he was still a general in the Grand Army of the Republic.
Grabbed what he could on the way out.
Yeah, exactly. He could have pilfered it off of anybody.
Yeah,
exactly. And then we get the next one is he's dropped the macro binoculars, but I thought what a great opportunity just to check in with Ewan McGregor and have a look at him back at Revenge of the Sith here in 2005. And just compare that to where we are now here in, I guess, 2021 when they were filming this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the man has aged well. I think this is going to be a great return to the character.
Fantastic.
All right. Then we get the Lucasfilm logos. And at the very same time, we get the bombastic opening of Duel of the Fates. Oh, what a cool choice of music to use at this point.
Yeah. And, for them to go no Maul at all is very strange in terms of that.
Well, does that not go right back into what we were talking about before?
It's very strange in terms of that.
Duel of the Fates, though, I mean, the fate of Anakin Skywalker, is that not sort of prevalent? I mean, that obviously is going to be a theme going forward in this show with their rematch. I think that touches into, we were talking before about the line that Vader has with Luke in Return of the Jedi. Obi-Wan once thought as you did. And I mean, we have to get some resolution to that. So maybe,
I just rewatched Revenge of the Sith too. I've been doing I haven't been sitting idle. And Padme has a line at the very end where her last words are, "There's still good in him.
Still good in him. Yeah,
save him, find him, save him." And that's gotta probably hurt Obi-Wan the most because he can feel that.
I can't imagine that the show is not going to have Ben try to redeem him. I mean, we've talked about how big of a theme that redemption is in Star Wars, and I can't see him completely abandoning. Given that we know that at the beginning of the series that he is very downtrodden, he's failed. He's not he's shattered. He's not the same man he was at the height of the Clone War.
Right.
And his failure to Anakin weighs heavily on him. I can't imagine that he's given up on him completely.
And this at the same time, we have to remember that all those exact same things happened to Anakin.
Yeah,
they do. The failure to save Padme. So these characters are still tracking simultaneously on these, so I can't help but think that Obi-Wan has to believe that some way that like he can fix this all. And the thing about that people miss in the comics is how much of a driving force Vader's hate for Obi-Wan is. In terms of him actually encompassing the Vader character, the mantle, if you will. He blames Obi-Wan for the death of Padme.
Yeah, that's right.
That's his, like, he literally thinks that they were having an affair.
Yes,
The Emperor has put all this stuff in his head. So, like, this is going to be a very different meeting. A very, like, we've had 10 years for Obi-Wan to brew on the past, and we've had 10 years for Vader to get it so twisted in his head.
We're looking at
it's going to be dynamic.
The Vader that we saw, the ruthless Vader that we saw in Rogue One. We're talking like it's that Vader.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The man who was at the height of his rage, if I can say it that way.
You read the stuff if you guys get a chance. I'll try to send leaks or post links in the socials. Like the comics where Vader is in charge of training the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
And there's I mean, it's a few scenes, but he limbs one of them each because he wants them to learn what loss is.
Okay.
It's like, I mean, it's serious. Like he is a dark character. He's lost so much and been hurt so badly, and is the manipulated child the whole time.
Yeah,
fantastic stuff in the Vader comics, guys.
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to talk a little bit because there's a thing from the Vader comic that I've kind of made a note on here in the next couple of slides. Actually, this one here that we're going to talk about right now.
Perfect.
Because we change scenes and we get this overhead shot of a new class of shuttle that we've never seen before. And it's this all black kind of looks like a stealth fighter kind of thing. Now we've seen this in the concept art, and we know that this is the shuttle that our main Inquisitor character is gonna ride around in. It has a lot of design elements that are similar to the Delta class shuttle that we saw in Rogue One that Orson Krennic used, but this is a lot smaller, like incredibly smaller, with a flip up wing design, which is a big departure from the Vader comics, because in the Vader comics we see them using this Zeta class shuttle painted all black.
Right.
So that's interesting.
I don't know. The silhouette kind of reminds you of a snow speeder.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
With some extra.
It's a serious nod to Vader's castle too. Just in
the
orientation, it is there. Strip the wings off it, and it's got the Vader's castle look to it.
Well, we're going to get another nod then here coming up shortly. Over the course of this portion of the trailer, we can hear a male voice say, "The key to hunting Jedi is patience." And of course, we're going to find out later on that is the voice of the Grand Inquisitor. Okay, so the scene plays out, the camera pans down, and we see that the shuttle is now approaching a large monolithic structure protruding out of the water. This is the Fortress Inquisitorius. And the Fortress Inquisitorius, it's a mostly underwater facility on the planet Nur. And we were first introduced to this back in Jedi Fallen Order in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nur, if you didn't know, canonically speaking, is in the Mustafar system, which makes it very close to Vader's castle.
Just a skip and a jump.
That's right.
Yeah. The scene is very quick, and I had to stop it to get this, but we can see sort of on the landing platform there, we've got a Lambda class shuttle that we saw back in Return of the Jedi.
Nice
we
crowd.
have several Imperial landing craft that we saw in The Mandalorian, and then we have a bunch of little. Well, there's at least 6 of them on the right hand side there. I'm not entirely sure what they are, but I have a sneaking suspicion that these are probably more of this the new shuttle with their wings folded up.
Yeah, it looks a lot like an in between. Kylo Ren's sort of advanced TIE, weird Sith kind of hybrid thing.
Yeah,
it kind of like looks like it's headed that direction. So I think you might find that these are, a larger fighter that are assigned to the Inquisitors,
or a specialized fighter, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. All right, so then after that, it's back to Tatooine, and we get, or at least I think it's Tatooine, where we get the big reveal of the Grand Inquisitor. Now, the Grand Inquisitor is being played by Rupert Friend, and you may remember him from the film Hitman Agent 47. as he played the title character in that. Now, the Grand Inquisitor, first introduced to us back in the first season of Star Wars Rebels, in the multi-part, basically the theatrical or theatrical length intro pilot movie. And in that, he was played by Jason Isaacs. And now, I guess we can't stop on this without talking about sort of the big elephant in the fandom. And that is the discussion over why does he look the way he does when he's based on the Power species that we saw in Attack of the Clones.
He was dropped on his head when he was a child.
Well, this has been some of the weirdest, and we've talked about this before, how weird it is.
Here's the thing. Chadwick Boseman and I are the same species. Yep. We don't look alike.
Yeah.
People are so
diverse.
I hardly ever get mad. This petty stuff gets me angry, and that's why I've had to steer clear of it.
This one got me angry the most.
I'm going to start hitting people till they look like cartoon versions of themselves, because this is the most petty thing I could find. Yeah. Like, Thrawn's skin is too blue. Luke's lightsaber is too green. Like, if
Cad Bane wasn't blue enough.
Again, you don't have a leg to stand on, so you're grasping at straws. The thing hasn't even been out for, like, it's not even out. It's not, and they're all saying change it. This is the one that got me. Change it because they changed Sonic.
Because I saw that as well.
Changed.
Yeah.
Like, it's already finished. They're not filming it like you as we speak. It's in the can. This is done. You idiots. And he looks great.
He does. He looks fine to me.
The Pound from Revenge of the Sith didn't have to backflip and spin a double-bladed lightsaber around and fly and flip and kick and kill. And this guy's got to be a little bit more practical.
Coincidentally, the Pound that Obi-Wan speaks to, if you didn't know, this is just a little FYI. That's actor Bruce Spence. It's the guy who played the gyro captain in Mad Max 2,
nice.
The Road Warrior.
Nice.
Same actor, yeah.
Very cool.
When you had posted that thing the other day, Hank, and you talked about how ridiculous this was, it's the only comment it's the only online comment I've made, because I don't want to come across as putting the wrong message there, but right. I had said every comment I read about change the look of this character. To me, it's like people don't realize how precariously close those comments are to they all look the same to me.
Right.
Like, and that's just mortifying on every level.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and okay, there's a thing in Hollywood too. Okay. So, actors want to be recognized for what they look like.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not going to put a leading man in prosthesis
unless you're Doug Jones.
Right. Or right. I mean, like, there's got to be a meaning to it.
I agree. Absolutely.
I think that they're walking a fine line. And I think that this is the most innocuous thing that you could pick to, and they went after the poor fella playing the other Inquisitor too.
Who's playing the fifth brother?
Right.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
They started getting into that too. And it's just, if you don't have anything nice to say, stop saying stuff.
Just please don't.
Because we're all tired of it. We really are.
Yeah. It's a crazy space to be a fan, because the fan base is so polarized.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's super hard to not just completely discount those people. I don't like that. Like, we had this discussion. I don't like that real fan talk.
No,
but it's
neither do
so hard to not discriminate against these bozos.
Oh, I know. All right. So, have we talked about the Grand Inquisitor enough?
Yeah, so. He looks fantastic.
He does. He looks great, and I can't wait
to see him fight Cad Bane.
Yes, that'd be awesome. I just, you know what? If his performance is anything like just the little bit of voice work we hear, right. I'm very excited to hear or to see what his performance is going to be like. So I am all in for Rupert Friend, and I wish
that red thing on his chest is on the wrong side.
Well, you're not a real fan.
I'm going to reserve my judgment till I see him.
So we bounce back over to Tatooine, where we see what I think is a speeder train racing across the desert towards a settlement, and this is the hey, is this Anchorhead? Like, I kind of wondered if it was. Got a cool little
Nice.
tower off in the distance.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Mos Eisley from any angle that we've seen before.
No.
And
Catch a transport there to Mos Eisley or wherever else.
well,
you wanna
this
go.
is it, right? I mean, yeah, that could be it entirely. Which brings me to the next one, because now we have Obi-Wan sitting on the I believe this is the same vehicle, the train. And this is the biggest question. I get this, like, it's a commuter train vibe off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's just leaving to work.
You're on
Nobody's-
your work. Yeah.
Yeah, no
That's
one's
what I
got
get.
baggage.
He's on his way to do whatever task he was doing in that
Yeah, when he was
that sheltery thing. Exactly.
cutting the outpost thing, right?
That's right.
You want to work, you show up, you get on the train.
Well, no, exactly. All right. That being said, the other thought that had crossed my mind was, is this the line from, I could give you a ride to Anchorhead and you could, find a way to Mos Eisley to get off world.
Well,
Is this-
that's true too.
Is this what's happening here? I mean, the look on his face, he's very, mind you, again, when you travel on the subway, and it's been a lot of years for me, but the subway is very much a very lonely place. Everybody's sort of inside themselves.
That's right.
And that comes through here in this shot. All right, we move on now. We're going back to newer, to the Fortress Inquisitorius. And as I said before, we got our first introduction to the fortress back in Jedi Fallen Order. So I just included a little picture-in-picture there. That's Cal Kestis in the level where you actually have to swim your way inside the fortress. So that's what we're looking at here. This particular room, potentially a throne room. As you can see, one of those chairs that's unoccupied has the monolithic wings on the back of it.
It sure does.
So, I mean, the big sort of like, is that Vader's chair when he's visiting?
Another thing to point out there too, there is a stormtrooper in the background.
There's 2 stormtroopers in this, and that's kind of got me like, because, and I'm gonna bring that up a little bit later, but like, I associate the Inquisitorius with the Purge Trooper and not the standard stormtrooper.
One of the mill guy.
So I'm a little bit like, are they gonna put Purge Troopers in this or not?
Oh, maybe. At the end of the day, this is an Imperial facility, and do you guys remember the production footage from the little Disney drop? It came out earlier than that, but we got it on the Disney drop.
Right.
There's production footage of a bunch of stormtroopers standing on the inside of a gantry, and outside is underwater, and it's all green tinted like that water there.
Oh yeah.
So this is a fully functioning Imperial base as well as the headquarters of the Inquisitors.
Of the Inquisitors. Yeah. All right, so we got this is the first time we're actually seeing our main Inquisitor character, the lady standing in front of the table. Her name is Reva or Riva. I'm not sure how to pronounce that yet. We haven't heard anybody say it, so I'm not really sure.
So here's the thing: is she the main Inquisitor character? She has a name where none of the others do.
Well, so here's the thing. They call her Reva, but then they, in brackets, one of the sources I read refers to her as the third sister.
Okay.
So she does have a sister designation.
I mean, certainly they all have names. We're privy to a couple of them, but no, I mean, that's possible. I hadn't heard her referred to the third sister yet, so that's cool.
Well, as you say, though, like, is she the main character? And talking about Inquisitors having names in Jedi Fallen Order, there's you build a relationship with an Inquisitor and you find out who they were before they became an Inquisitor.
Right.
And you learn that character's actual name. And I wonder if that's sort of maybe sort of a carryover. It might be. Right. But so aside from Reva, that's she's played by Moses Ingram, and Moses Ingram played Jolene in The Queen's Gambit. If you haven't watched that yet,
that's real good.
That's who she is. We also see 2 other Inquisitors. We see a female sitting down, and we see a male as well. Stormtroopers stand on guard on either side of the door, and there are a couple of empty chairs. One of the things we get a good look at here is the unique double-bladed lightsabers that all Inquisitors carry, and it's kind of Tron-like how they store them on their back like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then, of course, when they light them on both ends, the thing about this, and it was kind of goofy, I think, when it debuted on Rebels, is they spin really, really fast, kind of like the General Grievous.
Yeah. In fact, enabling them to fly.
Yes.
I actually, Lauren has this theory that the Jedi aren't very imaginative, because she thinks like if she had the Force that she could
would
do
be
way
able to,
more.
I could fly.
Well, because if you could levitate an X-wing fighter, you certainly could levitate yourself.
You would think so.
And I tend to think that there are sort of based on the Jedi handbook, there are certain just traditional abilities that you hone, and therefore that's not one of them. And I also thought that maybe giving into the Peter Pan like joy of flight might be walking too close to the dark side.
Right.
But I totally buy dark side characters being able to fly, and the little helicopter effect from the lightsaber is really cool, man.
Go gadget saber.
I want to see them fly in live action. I really do. I think
it'll be cool.
As far as the spinning saber goes, theirs looks much more practical than Thanos's.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Thanos doesn't have like that full circle to allow that.
Yeah,
spins it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, we should talk a little bit about Inquisitors. I know we've mentioned it before in some of our other review series, but as this is going to serve as a primer to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they do feature prominently in this series, let's talk a little bit about Inquisitors.
Mm-hmm.
Inquisitors first introduced to us in the Star Wars role-playing game back in 1993 in the source book Fragments from the Rim. We're introduced to a character by the name of Antinous Tremaine, and he was High Inquisitor Tremaine. I'm not sure where High Inquisitors fit in. We never actually hear the term used canonically, so maybe it's just what the Grand Inquisitor became. But Antinous Tremaine was a fallen Jedi that had been turned to the dark side. Then we fast forward to the prequel era, and when the new movies came out, it kind of messed up the timeline that had been established. Certain things like mostly about Palpatine's rise to power, which really threw things off, because up until the movies, the role-playing game was the recognized canonical timeline.
Right.
And it led right into the novels. So this character went through a bit of a retconning, and then eventually was scrapped altogether when, of course, the canon was reset.
Yeah, nobody's honed in on this as the genesis of the Inquisitors, by the way. I haven't seen anybody
really
not quoting just they started in Rebels.
Oh yeah, well,
which is that's accurate in terms
canonically
of
that is true.
That's true canonically.
That is true.
But this is the birthplace. Yeah, for sure.
The reason that I chose, and I put this in here because the one thing that's remained consistent about Inquisitors from the very beginning is that in both the old legends and now the new canon, they are all personally trained by Darth Vader.
That's right.
And that's a very important detail. So, so because we know that Vader could not go out and hunt down the Jedi single-handedly, that he needed other people to do it. And so he trains a cadre of Dark Force wielders that are going to go out and help him do this.
He could do it. It'd just take him longer.
I guess so. Yeah.
But now he's in a position of power. Time to outsource.
But the one thing that's that, like you say, with the new canon, like with Jedi Fallen Order and in Rebels, is that a lot of them are Padawans who were forced to turn to the dark side or die.
Right. You got to figure that's why Palpatine wanted that list of Force sensitive children.
Yeah,
he's going to make an army of Inquisitors much more powerful. Yeah. But I mean, you got to even figure he would try to dabble into, more along the lines of the Galen Merrick storyline from the games. It's awful.
Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed, where they're trying to clone Force sensitives. To make an army of Sith or Jedi, like subservient though to the Emperor.
Right. All right, our next slide is what looks to be a back on Tatooine, and it looks to be a public hanging. Alternatively, I mean, I suppose it could be somebody being held up by the Force, but I get the vibe that this is an execution. This is a public display.
If it is a display of the Force, maybe the Inquisitor is currently, choking
from the other side. Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
We're just getting this way because it's going to focus on someone in the crowd.
This ties in. Yeah, go ahead, Hank.
Oh, it looks like modern day Moscow.
Yeah. This ties into the rumor that there is another Jedi survivor that has been hiding out on Tatooine. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. But as I say, there is a rumor that another Jedi is on Tatooine, and if that's the case, that changes everything for Obi-Wan. And there's another sequence here later on that kind of you'll get sort of that sense of like how ominous things really are. All right, here we are. We get a shot at Reva. This could very well be within that same sequence. Really, really close up of Reva. And one of the things I want to, this is me, just pure. This is my pure. Like, I hope they do this for my to serve my fan service moment. But the female Inquisitors that we've seen both in Rebels and in Jedi Fallen Order have this like really awesome stylized helmet.
Yeah.
And I kind of hope that we get to see her wearing that.
Very Vader-esque.
That's absolutely, yeah. And then, of course, the other thing, like I say, Vader couldn't go out and do it all by himself, so they have Inquisitors. But even the Inquisitorius, they didn't do it alone either, and they commanded a force of clones, the Purge Troopers. Do you think we're going to see Purge Troopers in this?
Maybe.
I know that they love to dig deep. I like to think that they're well, we know that they've been, or the rumor has been that they were encouraged to go bigger and go deeper.
Yeah.
By Filoni. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a sheet laid over top of the script that had like, hey, this points to that.
Yes.
This points to that. So it wouldn't surprise me. It'll be a pleasant surprise.
I would love it if they turn up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so not done with the clones that
I mean, how close we were to Cal Kestis in, we were screaming for him in the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
This is prime territory for Cal Kestis as well.
Right.
Well, Purge Troopers, would that not be prime territory for a furthering of Crosshair?
Well, there's a whole bunch of there's a bunch of clone stories that could still be, resolved, this out far past. And really, we haven't had a good.
It's not that far past.
We haven't, other than Boba Fett, we haven't had a clone story in live action yet.
No.
Oh.
Unless you take the one retconned rebel troop on Endor.
Oh yeah, Nick Sant.
Yes,
he's not. He's not Rex. He's Nick Sant. He's a human. He's not a clone. We get to hear the Grand Inquisitor again. He says, "Their compassion leaves a trail." All right. In the background of this, we can see Owen, and then the camera kind of flashes over, and he's looking like really, really pensive. By the way, Joel Edgerton has got a bunch of Dick Clark syndrome going on there because the man has virtually not aged since 2005.
Yeah.
You got to wonder what's going through Owen's mind at this point, because given what he knows about Obi-Wan being on Tatooine and who Luke Skywalker really is, like he's got to be thinking like, oh crap.
At some point we knew this would show up.
Well, you got to wonder. I mean, like we see Owen in A New Hope and how adamant he is about, staying away from that. He's just a crazy old man. Stay away from him.
He may not know that Obi-Wan's there yet.
Well, I mean, by rights, he should. I mean, the last thing we see is Obi-Wan handing baby Luke over to them. I mean,
that's true.
I mean,
that moment could technically occur again within the show.
Does Ben, I'm going to go with Ben. Does Ben tell them at that point that he's going to hang around, or does he just ride off into the desert, never to be seen again?
I think that there's a catalyst between him living in a cave within binocular view of the homestead, and living way out in the Dune Sea in a hut. And I think I think you're going to find Obi-Wan and Owen actually butt heads.
I totally agree with that. Owen, I think this scene is sort of the catalyst where Owen is going to approach Obi-Wan and say, you got to get the F out of here.
Right.
You got to get away because you're jeopardizing my family now. Who knows? All right. So, side by side, he's virtually ageless. My God. All right. So now moving along, we get a shot here of Reva, and she's crouched now on top of a building. This is another new world that we're going to be going to This planet is called Daiyu, and Daiyu is said to be a key location of the series. And according to Joby Harold, it's sort of has a Hong Kong feel to it. It's got a graffiti-ridden nightlife and is kind of edgy. It's just got a different lane and a different feeling. That's a direct quote, by the way. Yeah, so it's patterned after Hong Kong. And how funny is it in this that the neon sign behind her translates into ER?
Nice.
Is she literally crouching on the roof of a hospital?
Maybe.
That's awesome. Pretty normal.
Where she's going to put some people here in a minute. All right, sticking with, I think this is actually the same sequence just from over her shoulder. She's still looking out over the city, and yeah, the neon sign off in the distance translates into milk. Green milk in this case, I guess.
Got green milk?
Yeah. Where'd we go
Very
here?
stylized K, though.
All right, this next one is kind of neat, and we're going to chew the fat on this one a little bit. We get another shot of the whatchamacallit, the
Inquisitor ship.
Can we call it that? The Inquisitor shuttle, I guess.
Sure.
And I kind of think that this might actually be the sequence that concept art is actually depicting, with her, one of the Inquisitors, debarking. Which, if that's the case, I'm really, really happy, because in that concept art, that character is wearing the helmet. And maybe a little disappointed because it's regular stormtroopers and not purge troopers, but hey, that's okay. This is kind of cool. We get this shot of an Imperial officer debarking some kind of ship. She has a pistol drawn when she steps off. So clearly she's somebody who means business.
Stepping into a situation.
This unidentified officer is played by British actress Indira Varma, who you probably remember from, she played in Rome. She played the character Niobe Verena, and she was Ilaria Sand in Game of Thrones, one of Pedro Pascal's wives. Yeah. So just to point this out, she has been incorrectly identified as a captain in the Imperial Navy, but because who was it? Was what's his name there, Hank? Who's the YouTube channel you like to watch? New Rockstars.
Oh, yeah.
New Rockstars called her a captain. That's not true, because we know that in the Imperial Navy, from seeing Captain Bragg in the Bad Batch, that a captain's rank plaque is just 4 red pips, no blue. No blue. So the best
she also has 2 cylinders too.
2 code cylinders. I don't even know if code cylinders even play a role in rank anymore. That's one of my biggest complaints. I know that's the thing. I hope somebody over at Lucasfilm is paying attention to this stuff, and they put out a new updated rank structure, because it is really, really difficult to sort of figure out who's who when you're just looking at them. The best I can come up with is with the 2 blue. She's a commander, which gets really crazy, because in the modern world, a captain outranks a commander. But in Star Wars, in the Imperial Navy, a commander outranks a captain.
That's right.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. In the Rebel Alliance, it did as well. Commander Skywalker, Captain Solo.
Captain Solo, yeah. So we also hear the Grand Inquisitor pipe up again. This time he says, "The Jedi Code is like an itch." All right. Flipping ahead, we get a shot to the female Inquisitor that we saw sitting at the table back at the Fortress Inquisitorius. She's now doing? It looks like she's walking some kind of lineup. I assume that this is back on Daiyu, and the sign behind the corrugated steel reads Haas Market. And if you watch the trailer in slow-mo, when she gets to the end of the lineup, there may or may not be a Wookiee at the end of it. Yeah. More of that Hong Kong vibe. This is Obi-Wan also walking amongst a crowd on Daiyu. I almost wonder if the way that the trailer is edited, it kind of presents it like he's on the other side of the street watching the Inquisitor do that lineup. I don't know if that's the case, but that's kind of what the editing would kind of suggest.
Yeah.
We get the Grand Inquisitor one more time. He cannot help it. All right. Now we get a stormtrooper standing in front of a very tall droid. the droid actually has the same aesthetic as the KX security droids that we saw back in Rogue One, but also the N5 Sentry from the Mandalorian.
Maybe a mix between the two.
Maybe. Now there's talk about who this might be, and if you've checked out sort of the IMDb or the Wikipedia pages for the show, Kumail Nanjiani is listed as one of the cast members for Obi-Wan. Do you think that he's going to be playing this droid?
Maybe.
All right. But it would maintain the what's the thing where the comedic, consistent with the trend of recent trend of comedic actors playing droids in Star Wars, like Alan Tudyk, Taika Waititi, Richard Ayoade, and Matt Berry. Oddly enough, the writing on his chest translates to Ned.
Nice.
So maybe he's playing Ned. I don't know. All right. Okay, this is going to spark a lot of conversation. I can tell that already, because as soon as I saw it, I mean, if you were like me, you probably hit the pause button and went, what? This is probably one of the biggest Easter eggs in the entire trailer, because on quick glance, if you're not really kind of paying attention, you're like, oh, it's a stormtrooper standing there. But that is not a stormtrooper. That, in fact, is clone armor. So, cool thing in there. This guy is holding what looks like a hammer or maybe some other tool. So I'm not sure what that's about. But I mean, have you been following sort of what people are saying about this part of the trailer?
I have not. Lauren mentioned something to me briefly about a blue belt.
Okay, so there is I didn't get the blue belt, and really we can talk about that. I've heard everything from this is Rex to Cody and any other number of clones, but I don't think it's either of those people. And talking about the blue belt thing, I think the blue belt thing is a way that people have been using it to connect it back to Rex, if not Rex, at least back to the 501st.
I just figured 501st when I heard blue. That's not a crazy stretch.
It's not, but just to remind everybody that canonically speaking, clone belts, hold on a second, let me take this off here.
Yeah.
There we go. Clone belts, they're white.
Yeah, no, it's true.
There's no colored belts in the clone army. So, I mean, is it a misdirect? I don't know. But I want to bring this to everyone's attention. If you look really, really closely at this.
Cody has a gray belt.
Oh.
I just looked over at my figure now. Cody has a gray belt with orange pouches.
Orange pouches.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, the one thing that Cody doesn't have that this clone has is a mechanical hand. Mm-hmm. There are hinges on those fingers. That is not a human hand or arm. That is, at the very least, that is a prosthetic hand, if not an entire prosthetic arm.
That's hard to see for me.
I'll have to go back and take a look at it.
I'll take a better look at that, yeah.
So that brings me to my wildest speculation that I'm going to make on the on our inaugural episode here.
Not so wild.
I don't think it's so wild.
You don't think it's wild?
I think it's got merit.
I think it does as well. And I'm going to bring it up again, but I'm going to say close inspection shows that this character has a mechanical hand and perhaps an entire mechanical right arm. So we can safely rule out Captain Rex because we know that Rex makes it right through to the Battle of Endor. But I am convinced that this is either one of those rare cases of clones overcoming their inhibitor chip, just like Tech spoke about in the Bad Batch. Or this clone is a deserter that did carry out Order 66 and is trying to live out the rest of his days quietly. Because the other part of this sequence is there's a stormtrooper that walks past the door. Well, this is my Hail Mary. I'm going to propose that this might be Echo. He's the only clone that we've seen so far with a prosthetic arm, and it is on the correct side. And I want to say this. Is the hammer a subtle metaphor for the interchangeable tools that we've seen him possess in other media?
Could be.
There's another thing that I'm going to bring up here in a minute that kind of ties in with that. But that's my if I had to Hail Mary it, and if it has to be a clone that we've seen before, I'm going with Echo. All right, let's move ahead here for a second. All right, back to the rooftops of Dayu, and we get Reva, who leaps off this tower that presumably she's probably cut it with her lightsaber. and then jumps to the rooftop of another building. And then we come back to this sequence where we have the Grand Inquisitor, lightsaber ignited, and it's full on spinning where he says, "Where is he?" And I don't think it's a very big stretch to say that I think we've seen this bald head before. I do think that is Tamura Morrison, and I do think that it is a clone. And I actually think that it's the clone that we just saw in the other sequence. And I say that it's probably Echo because look at the back of his head. Look at the mechanical parts there, almost like the mounting bracket for Echo's head computer. Only now, maybe the head computer has been removed, and he's just trying to live quietly. Anyway, that's my crazy wild theory. If we have to put a name to it, it's Echo.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, where are we going here?
I think Echo's about to die there.
Well, this is it. Well, this is it too. Like, and I thought about that. Is that like we have a bunch of years for the Bad Batch to play out?
Yeah,
this is like 10 years. It's 10 years after Order 66. So I mean, there's 10 years.
The Bad Batch can run around for 5.
They can do all the stuff that they want to. Yeah,
go
their separate ways.
And then we pick him up here.
Yeah, and maybe this is the tragic ending of Echo. I mean, wouldn't that be just like crazy?
Yeah, I mean, his proximity to Obi-Wan, that certainly would be another personal shot,
Yep,
to try to
absolutely.
draw him out, right?
Yes, absolutely, it would be. All right, we get another shot of you get the real Hong Kong vibe off of this. This is a street level shot. This is the fifth brother leading a squad of stormtroopers down the street. There's a bunch of neon signs everywhere, and they kind of repeat themselves. The blue ones, you got things like Gungan snacks, as well as just generic signs for market, and we get the milk sign show up again. As I said before, it is the fifth brother, and he's played by Sung Kang, who played Han Lu in The Fast and the Furious. Now, the fifth brother was originally introduced in season 2 of Star Wars Rebels. His species is never named. It's just simply described as a humanoid male. And in Rebels, he was voiced by Philip Anthony Rodriguez, who played Dr. Evans in the Medea films, if you've seen them, as well as several one-off television roles. The original design for this character, believe it or not, is based on an unused piece of concept art from The Force Awakens, which I've included here. I actually think it's probably an unused design for a Knight of Ren.
Could be.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of the vibe I get off of it. But yeah,
They were trying to do the Jedi Killer, trying to come up with Kylo Ren. They came up with dozens and dozens of different designs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I have a really cool art of book where they run through. And most of those designs became Knights of Ren, so it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me either. All right, the next one is a couple of escape pods. And I asked the question, is this a flashback? Is this possibly Obi-Wan and Yoda heading off under their respective exiles?
Wouldn't shock me.
No, me neither. I
don't think we're going to get the level of flashback we did with Boba Fett.
No.
But
40 minutes into flashback?
Yeah. But, you can't rule out that we're going to get little glimpses.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that's
where they are.
Yeah. So on the subject of flashbacks, because I really, really hope that they do this, because this, going back to the Clone Wars, would it be awesome if we got a flashback of Obi-Wan and Anakin in live action looking like this? I would absolutely love that.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. We've obviously we've got the action figures to sort of like play out those childhood fantasies, but honestly, if we're gonna lean into the Clone Wars stuff, why not just embrace it fully?
One thing you could do, as they touched on in Star Wars Visions, have him just pull up like a little holo cube.
Oh yeah,
and it'd be like an entire platoon plus those two leaders.
Right. Yeah, that's supposed to be,
because like photos don't really play heavy in Star Wars.
I don't even want it to be a photo. I just give me like a sequence of the two of them in a battle, dressed like that, just one little live action thing, just enough to connect the dots between live action and animated, and I will be happy. All right, in our next sequence, we see Reva leaping over a table as she draws her lightsaber, stopping whoever this guy is from fleeing. This might be the Jedi survivor that we saw in the public hanging.
Well, he's got hair, so.
Well, he does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things we see here, we see Reva is using just one blade on her lightsaber. And in this configuration, the round disc aspect is actually folded in half, where it more resembles the traditional handguard on a real sword. Now, this is the one where I said, like, this is a straight up reuse of the Book of Boba Fett set. In fact, this is the street out front of the sanctuary where the Hutt twins get marched up.
Nice.
When I just assumed that all the practical sets are reuse of that, so
Might as well.
why not?
No sense building 10 of them.
No. In the next shot, we get a black-clad hand touching what looks to be the Jedi sigil inscribed on a wooden wall. And, of course, that is Reva. I suspect it's Reva. I can't see it being anybody else. That's a shot of Reva from the Entertainment Weekly first photos that we saw. And then we get this face-off. And, again, Reva. I assume that this is Obi-Wan and not just an unnamed gunman. I've heard people say maybe it's Han Solo, but I don't know.
I've heard rumblings that it could be Cad Bane as well.
That's not one I've heard. I'm hearing that for the first time. Would you want it to be Cad Bane?
Or a clone.
Or a clone? Oh, that's yeah.
There's possibilities. It could be so many, right? Like,
But,
right.
A la Kanan, we know that Jedi sometimes switch to blasters to hide their.
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
And then it was really hard to see, but there is some writing on the wall, and it translates to logic. Yeah. All right, so then sticking with the whole blaster theme, when we move ahead, again, we're on a rooftop now, and I'm pretty sure it's Obi-Wan pinned down behind some kind of box on a rooftop. He's being attacked from two different angles. What's interesting is the one guy who he's facing off, the blaster fire from his blaster is amber colored, not red. So we know that that's not an Imperial soldier. And then the blaster fire from the other direction, it's like a hail of like red bolts. So Who knows? All right. And then we get something interesting here, because I think this is actually this structure, whatever it is, kind of bursts, and you can see it getting hit with blaster fire. It may even be the thing that Obi-Wan was hiding behind, using for cover. And as it blows, we get a bunch of green birds come swirling out of the thing. And I think the biggest, the forerunning theory is that these are a bunch of convor owls. And we've seen convor owls before, as they are closely, one of them anyway, Morai, is closely associated with Ahsoka Tano.
Nice.
Of course, we've seen Morai in live action before in The Mandalorian. But we've never seen a large group of them together like this. So interesting to see if they're like, was it like a rooftop bird cage, bird box?
Aviary.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's breeding them like pigeons.
Assuming that they are convor at all. I don't know. That's the leading theory. I kind of like it. It's kind of cool.
It'd be a nice touch.
Yeah. And then I just put this together at the end because these were sort of the titles that kind of came up peppered throughout the trailer, but they didn't make much sense to not put them all together. So this is kind of like, I assume this would be like the tagline for the show. Between darkness and defeat, hope survives. And that's good to know, because everything that they've been saying about the script rewrites said that the original scripts were really, really dark.
Really dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had heard that. Yeah.
Dark time.
All right. And then as we close out the trailer here, as we're getting towards the end, the next one, we get this, the thing with Obi-Wan where he's kind of looking down, kind of pensive, and then he just kind of looks up for a second towards who knows what. And then we get the title cards. And in case you didn't notice, They used Obi-Wan's lightsaber as the eye in Kenobi,
Yes,
Mhm.
they did.
of which I've just enhanced. So
Nice. And if you watch it to its full extent, the
The
lightsaber
cuts
does
Disney.
the arc of the Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. We get the titles during the titles, though. We actually get the Vader breathing in that.
Mhm.
It's the only, I mean, other than Duel of the Fates, and it is the only direct like reference to Vader we get in the trailer is his breathing at the very, very end.
Right.
Yeah, and as you say, the Disney Plus logo flashes up on the screen, and it is a blue lightsaber blade that cuts the Tinkerbell fairy dust swoosh in it. Haha, very clever, Disney. We like it. We approve.
So here's a theory as to who he's looking up at with a little bit of hope.
Sure.
Qui-Gon's Force Ghost.
Oh, see, that is one of the things that I have been like super, super like biting my fingernails over. Like
Yoda told him, go work on this in the desert.
training
So,
for you, I have
yeah,
training.
give us that.
Mhm. The only problem I'd have with that is that it's implicit that Qui-Gon never completed the training and can't manifest himself physically. Only his voice. He tells Yoda that straight up. So anything
right.
beyond a Liam Neeson voiceover is going to be breaking canon for me.
You know what? Even if there is just the voiceover,
It would be
I'll be
perfect.
happy with that.
In
Yeah,
fact,
I'll be
it's
happy with
got.
that.
It has to be there.
Is there no precedent for Qui-Gon being able to complete the training after death?
I mean, they could certainly invent the precedent.
I guess
they'd
so.
have to cover it though. They'd have to cover it.
That being said, though, like you just said, if that happens, it would ruin it for you. Would it really ruin it for you?
Nah, probably not. I mean, if they covered it, if they explained it a little, maybe. But go back and rewatch it. He's pretty implicit with Yoda.
Yeah. Sean Colbert says, I bet they won't do any forced ghosts in it.
I tend to agree.
There is every likelihood that they won't.
Yeah. Where you will see a Force Ghost, and I'm gonna call it a year in advance, is I think you're gonna see Hayden Christensen as a Force Ghost appear to Ahsoka. There's got to be some closure
that would
there.
Be cool.
Yeah.
Well, there's this question about it. Now, here's the thing, right? Obi-Wan, we know he's going off world.
That's right.
We questioned that before. What's he gonna do on Tatooine? Like, you got to
for 20 years, 19 years.
You got to get him off world to draw whatever the danger is away from Luke. And so now we're doing that.
Yep.
Good Lord, where was I going with that?
I mean, Jimmy Smits has been cast, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. What I was going was, if Obi-Wan's leaving the planet, there's a question of, is anybody looking over Luke while Ben's gone?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. They've also cast Briha Organa, Leia's adopted mother,
Leia's mom. So
and I think
Bail's wife.
I think that Obi-Wan might be trying to double dip here. Like, I think he might go off world to try to help Leia. Someone captures Leia. Like, she's the princess of Alderaan.
Cool.
Right?
That's yeah.
That would
more high profile.
Me. Yeah.
Right.
Like something that draws it all together.
That begs an interesting question there then, because you know at the in Jedi when it's like, you know, there's a when Ben says in Empire when Luke leaves to go and rescue Han and Leia, Ben's words to Yoda are, "That boy was our last hope," and Yoda's like, "No, there is another."
Right, whom we all just assumed as kids was Boba Fett. I immediately slapped a lightsaber in that guy's hand. I'm the other. But I mean, well, that's true. That is true. But he does know about Leia, and
he definitely knows that she's alive, or that she exists. I mean, he was there for the birth.
Yeah.
Right, but maybe thinking, well, see, the same thing applies to Luke, that he hasn't had any training for very long, you know.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, what does a Jedi who, like with anything, with any skill, what does a 10-year absence do in terms of your skill set when you aren't practicing anymore?
I think very interestingly, I'd like to see if he follows suit and cuts himself off from the Force as a way to protect himself.
A la Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, very interesting if he, and even Grogu and Cal Kestis.
Yeah,
both,
yes, closing themselves off.
right, so that they couldn't be mind bred.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah,
like, you know, in certain circles, you're going to be vulnerable to that. I'd be very interested to explore that.
You know, I can see a scenario where the events of the series take place, and towards the end of the series, coming back to Tatooine, yes, I will keep a watch over Luke, and then, as you say, move away from the farm, close yourself off from the Force. That way, nobody else has a reason to come looking, because they
Right.
cannot, they won't, sense me through the Force.
There's got to be. Vader doesn't find out Luke Skywalker is his son until
Yep.
after the Battle of Yavin.
Right.
He's in the comics. He's obsessed with finding the pilot that
Yes.
destroyed the Death Star.
Yep.
And they just happen to be part and parcel. He employs Boba Fett to find the pilot, and Boba Fett tracks basically Luke Skywalker to Obi-Wan's hut, where in the middle of finding that chest, and Obi-Wan's lightsaber and his book and all that stuff, in the middle of that, Boba and Luke have a fight, and that's where he learns that he's Skywalker, and that's the first time Vader realizes that. So there's got to be some sort of level of Luke is safe from the Empire, but I need to leave and come back to ensure that safety. But I think that the Inquisitors will draw him out, but I don't think they're there looking for Luke. I think they're there looking for him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Or even, and I've also read that an actor has been cast to play this other Jedi, and that the I can't recall the actor's name. Sorry, guy. And that the character has already been named as well.
Right.
I think that's who gets hanged, maybe, or something draws him out.
I think we're thinking the same thing. That that's where I kind of go with the, like, Owen just watched a public execution,
right?
And if Owen knows that it's a Jedi, then he's the one that's going to be the catalyst to Ben. Like, you need to get like GTFOH,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm super excited for this. I can't say enough good things about, a minute and 46 seconds. We've just waxed on that for like just over an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, what did you expect? It's our show.
Yeah.
You knew we weren't going to go light on it.
No, super excited about this one.
Yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes open, looking for other marketing. Hopefully it's a good looking figure. Hopefully there's going to be another, they say this is a teaser trailer.
Yeah, we're going to definitely be getting more.
Is a teaser?
They usually do 3.
I don't think of it as a teaser as being nearly 2 minutes long, though.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just off.
It's that the teasers are that weird style with the jump cuts and the displaced dialogue. Nobody's actually saying dialogue. You know, they move their lips on the screen,
right?
And then the disjointed wording like that cuts it up. So I think you'll get some, like, actual dialogue in a proper trailer, maybe a scene.
Oh,
And if they didn't, even just have Vader turn his head and look at the camera at least once, I think people will flip right out. Something like that.
Yeah. Big question about Vader is, will James Earl Jones do the voice work?
He
did do Rogue One.
He did, and he did sound wrong though. Like he's an older fella. He's like a 95-year-old dude now.
I thought he sounded great in Rogue One, to be honest.
He did sound great. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that it was him. But the guy that does the voice in Rebels is so good too.
So what about the technology that the machine learning that they used to do Luke's voice in the Book of Boba Fett?
I'd rather have the animated actor do it.
Interesting.
Personally,
I wondered. I thought about that too, because like I've seen a few like social media posts where people are saying, like, outside of James Earl Jones, who is your favorite Vader voice? And there's 2 or 3 of them. Actually, there's quite a few. There's like 4 or 5, but there's 2 or 3 that keep hitting the top of the list. And one is the guy who did the animated series and most of the recent Lego stuff,
right?
And then there's the guy who did the Force Unleashed games, and they tend to rate pretty high.
Yeah.
But I wondered, like, is there enough, could you get the isolated vocal tracks from, say, all of James Earl Jones' film work, have him sit down and do a reading for some machine learning? Could you come up with a digital composite that's that is,
if it's more natural than what we got, if I had to pick anything that
sure. Sean says, I heard James Earl Jones was doing the voice.
Well, let's see. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll find out soon enough. And of course, fans will be the judge of that. How
no
well
jokes though. No choking on your aspirations or anything like that.
Right.
My Vader doesn't do one-liners.
What, he doesn't even say, thank you for, we thought you didn't, thank you for joining us, or
oh yeah.
coming for dinner.
It would be an honor if you would join us.
That is,
in terms of he does actually have a weird sense of humor.
Vader.
A little bit. So
Yeah.
At first I really didn't like that line that he gives to Krennic, because it's, he turns, he makes the hand gesture like, don't choke on your aspirations.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I thought it was super corny at first. It was the thing I had the problem with the most. And at subsequent watches, Vader does
softened on that.
Yeah, because he does like he chokes Mahdi in the New Hope, and he has a witty line after he chokes him.
Yeah, I mean he's good that way. Yeah, I guess he just does. I guess the other big question is, it's like Hayden hasn't been in the role since 2005. I mean, obviously Ewan hasn't either. Hayden being a little bit younger, he's had a little bit more room to breathe and grow as an actor. Do we think that we'll get more? If we get some flashbacks, do you think the performance will be there? Like that Anakin will be less wooden? Is that the right word?
Let's touch on the fact that George asked him to be wooden. That he dumbed him down on several occasions. It's in several of the making of Revenge of the Sith, where there's private conversations, or even on camera where they talk. You need to be more stunted in your dialogue.
Interesting.
You need to match Vader's pacing more.
Okay.
So I think he was asked to be a little wooden.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know. I like to think that we're going to get Vader in a tank. Vader out of the armor.
Yeah.
I think we might explore some of that. If they don't have plans for a Vader show like this is a great place to explore what the comics touch on, and that's where Vader is mentally. The armor is designed to inflict pain.
Right.
When he's not in the armor,
he might get a moment of clarity,
but he's going to die.
Yeah.
He's going to die without the armor. So that the thing is that he's addicted to the pain. And it's what the Emperor does it on purpose. So those moments when he's meditating, and I've sent screen caps of you to you guys from the comics, where he's meditating and he's this like mass of red and black writhing worms.
Yeah.
Except his missing limbs are still blue with the Force, with the light side of the Force.
Yeah.
And he struggles. Like there's in one of the dreams or one of the meditations, he's being surrounded with blue butterflies, which is I had harped on that during that Mandalorian episode with the blue butterflies.
The blue butterflies
being Anakin Skywalker's sort of like Force, like familiar, if you will. But he does use Force lightning of a sort to kill the butterflies in a scene, and knock the light side of the Force out of him even more. But I'd be really interested to see Hayden Christensen's acting chops with that stuff. And you don't have to be, he's going to be in a tank with a thing over his face and all kinds of prosthesis and missing limbs and stuff but it would be very interesting to see.
This is where I hope that in some of these flashbacks, because presumably Obi-Wan's going to be thinking about his failure. And I mean, there is a great opportunity to use the flashback tool, is to flash back to those moments where Obi-Wan thinks, oh, I could have done it differently here, or I could have done this over there, where we could get the out of the armor performance.
Here's an interesting question too. Does Obi-Wan know
if he's Anakin?
Well, does he know that he knows that? I believe. Does he know that Anakin survived?
Survived Mustafar. That's an interesting question.
Has he heard of Vader?
Yeah.
And is does he? How widespread is Vader leading the troops? Because 10 years in, Vader's just a general.
Well, he knows. Well,
You know,
he should know because I mean, there's the whole conversation between him and Padme about she even says that Obi-Wan had told her that about killing children.
right.
So,
But she, I mean,
on
and
some level,
she's delirious at the end, and she says, "There's still light in him. Save him."
yeah.
But Obi-Wan is probably thinking to myself, sorry, I just killed him.
There's
Right?
there's a part of that too. Yeah.
There's another thing psychologically here that someone asked me who wasn't a big Star Wars fan watching it. Why in that moment doesn't Obi-Wan just walk up and behead him? And not because he's killing his enemy, but because he's showing grace to his brother.
Yeah.
And ending his pain.
I don't know.
So there's a deep, like that thing weighs on Obi-Wan more than anything.
That's going to be something for that
should've
character to chew
him.
on. Yeah.
I should have killed him.
Not the Jedi way, but I should have done it.
Right.
I can see him struggling with that for sure.
Yeah. It's so nuanced. We're going to get a hell of a ride, boys.
My God, yes. Well, that is our look. That's a Fandom Power presents The High Ground. It's our first look at the first teaser trailer for the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And don't forget, that's going to be, let me see if I can flip back here to the right slide. I got
Coming at us in May.
Yeah, later on here, pretty soon. My God, I'll find it here eventually.
Apparently, we're overlapping with Miss Marvel, so that may impact our show.
There we go. And what did you say, Andy? You said there was some overlap too.
Yeah, apparently we've just got a release date for Andor.
Yeah,
and it's going to be coming at us in August.
Right. So I mean, we're looking at 6 episodes of Obi-Wan in May,
which will overlap with Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
on the 8th, I believe,
and then right into Andor.
Yep.
Oh boy, it's going to be an exciting time around here.
Fantastic.
And then try to do anything else we want to do.
Right.
Don't even plan it. Just know what you're doing for those 2 months.
Yep.
Fantastic.
All right, so it's May 25th. It's a Wednesday because that's what Disney has chosen to do, so not to compete with Netflix anymore. And like I said, we will be back, the three of us, with our first full-length episode of The High Ground as we take a look at episode 1 or chapter 1, however they decide to label it. And as always, if anything else comes up between now and then, if we get another trailer and it's really, really good and not just a bunch of reuse, maybe we'll do another one of these and we'll look at that trailer as well. But anybody got any more they want to finish off on before we get going?
Oh, I just can't wait.
I'm in that same boat with you guys.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for me for Fandom Power, everybody. My name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
All right, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, guys.
Force will be with you always.